what time it is. It's candidly Chingeto time. So today I want to discuss 2 things you must know before you self-publish or publish. 2 things you must know. If you're an author, an aspiring author, you've already written, these are 2 things you should know because perhaps you're not applying it to your writing. Now, there is a Shona saying, "Kudzidza kupere," which means learning has no end, which is really true. Because just because I self-publish one book doesn't mean I know everything, you know? And these lessons I got from reading, because I think in my last video, I said that I was going to be reading a book a month. And this month's book for me, which I've already finished, is entitled Absolutely on Music by Murakami. And he was interviewing Ozawa. They're both Japanese. So now while I was reading this book, there were like some gems that were dropping, but 2 stuck out. And Murakami is an author. He's had a lot of his works translated into English and other languages. So he's not new to the game, right? And like I said, you can learn, and what better way from learning than someone who's been in the game for a while, but still drops gems. So what happens is I'm reading, and then I see something and it says, your writing has to have a rhythm. To a lot of people, you're like, what? But it makes sense. And he explains it like, have you ever read something and then you can't get past a certain point and it just stops? That's like the jam in the rhythm. You could actually say, and these are my own words, not his, by the way. I'm just paraphrasing. Yeah. You can actually say the CD's skipped or the beat just changed to something that makes no sense. And now your listener's like, wait, what? Now, you don't want that if someone is reading a piece of your work. That's why I think some of you will notice that when you're reading something, perhaps there comes a point where you can't read anymore. Like you're just stuck, it's boring, you just don't want to read it. And you don't know why. Or it's like you've got like emotional whiplash. Like, what? We were happy just now and all of a sudden we're depressed and now we're excited and now we're nervous. Like within the space of 1 page, like what's going on? And that's how I interpret it. Like your writing has to have a rhythm. It has to flow. You have to know where your beat wants to go. By your beat, I mean your words. So from the get-go, the moment you put that pin on the record, everything has to flow. If you're going to build up to a crescendo, build up to it. If you're going to go high, then low, or low, then high, then do it. But do it in a rhythm. Do it in a way that your reader will understand. And this is what I thought when I was publishing my first book. And I remember actually sifting and putting the poems according to themes because I was like, I don't want to cause emotional whiplash when people are reading my book. And I always say it. I'm like, the first chapter may make you cry because these are moments when I was extremely heartbroken, missing my father, and I wrote. But imagine me putting the saddest poem about my dad and then the happiest poem and then one about depression right after. That's heavy emotionally. So please, 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 writers, aspiring writers, whatever, rhythm. Your writing has to have a rhythm. It has to flow. It has to you have to know where you're taking it. The second thing is sometimes go against the norm. And this made so much sense for me because in high school, you're taught Shakespeare, Plath, Poe. You're taught these people and you're kind of taught to write like them. Like, no, you have to have this many stanzas. It has to rhyme like this. It has to flow like this. And that's kind of directing someone's art. And art should not be directed. It should be free. Whether you're painting, writing, singing, your art should come from the heart because that's when it hits the hardest. Now, I don't like that type of poetry. I liked reading it. But when I'm writing, that's not how I like to write. Which is why I usually wrote at home or when my dad asked me to. And then I end up thinking, why am I even conforming to a way that's like years old and that people did back then. Why can't I come up with something else? And Ozawa said this. He said his mentor taught him, but when he was now teaching, he kind of went the opposite of what his mentor did, because he wanted to see that, okay, you're saying this, but what happens if I say this? You know what I'm saying? Kind of like the same. You're told to write, perhaps, let's just say, 3 stanzas. What happens if you write 5? And it still makes sense. Sometimes go against the norm, evolve with your art, move with your art. And that's what I'm doing. Like, the poems I wrote initially and the ones I'm writing now are a bit different. They're the same in the sense that it's coming from me, it. But my poetry itself has kind of evolved into a storytelling vibe, but it's still poetry. So those are the 2 things I would say. If you are a writer or aspiring writer, or even any other artist, you can apply this to your craft, actually. You can apply this to your craft because perhaps it'll click and make sense to you. But rhythm, your work must have a rhythm. It must have that brand of yours, that Chengecho rhythm for me, and whatever that rhythm is for you. And yeah, go against the norm. Sometimes that's what's needed. Can you imagine what it was like for Picasso? Maybe he was being told to draw people and dude just wanted to be drawing his own style. And now look, people are studying his style. People could study your style, be it photography, painting, drawing, writing, singing, dancing. People could be studying you because you broke out the norm. So, book review and advice in one. Definitely would say buy this book. Absolutely on Music by Murakami, interviewing Ozawa. I'm sorry if I'm not pronouncing that correctly. If anybody's Japanese and can let me know, then please do. And yeah, so if you're an artist, I'm interested to learn your rhythm.